There will be slight adult content in this chapter. If that makes you uncomfortable, please feel free to skip. This chapter is not entirely important to the story. Let's get on with it. In His Shadow by meniekeime. Chapter 29, A Ball and Unwanted Guest. Harry's point of view. I was laying in the tub in the bathroom, washing and saving my body. These last days I had tried to drop hints at Draco by wearing my best pair of skinny jeans, always sitting on his lap, and lots of kisses. Lots and lots of kisses. But I don't know if he got me. When I was not teasing Draco, and I was with Nev and Alec. Nev had been a bit overwhelmed by Alec's nature, but they get along just fine. Often, a nervous Eva approached us, talking to Alec, who just jumped up and down and whispered into her ear. When we asked him about what was going on, he just said that we would have to wait and see. Later on, we had met with Draco and Victor again, and I went back to dropping hints. But now I was laying in this tub, extra careful not to cut myself with the razor. Luckily, I had no beard, so I only had to shave my legs and armpits and trim up my pubes. I have to look good for my man. When I had dried myself, I went back to my room where Draco was preparing for the ball that was held tonight. He had already gelled his hair back and was buttoning up his dress shirt. I saw that he had tidied up our nest. Shit. And Draco noticed me entering the room and only a towel and came over to me. Hey, little one, he said, turning around and giving me a kiss on the lips. He seemed as if nothing had happened. Maybe he hadn't seen it. I started to put on my favorite school uniform when I felt a hand on my shoulder and Draco's breath on my neck. He wrapped his hands around my waist and pulled me closer. Now, little one, you'll keep flaunting yourself to me. And if my inter-alpha was to decide, we would be in our nest, not leaving for the next few days. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't leave us as unmated. But explain this to me. Bloody hell, he had discovered it. He held one of his hands up, showing me the black object I had hid under the pillows of my nest. Why do you own this dildo, little one? Were you lonely without me? Or did you train for our special night? If that was your intention, I can tell you that this won't cut it. Draco was whispering into my ear in a deep voice. I became beet red and pushed the thing out of his hands. It was a gift from Neville, and I wouldn't tell you if I used it, because it's none of your business. I put it away and went on with closing my shirt. Draco just smirked. I hope you at least thought of me. Never said I used it. I closed my overthrow and turned around to check on Draco. He wore a black suit and black shoes. In this jacket, his shoulders seemed even bigger, and it was clearly visible that he was an alpha. He was holding something in his hands. What is that? I asked, pointing at the silvery thing. It's my early Christmas gift for you. I hope you would wear it tonight. It's a necklace given to the maid of the Malfoy hair. It was a silver necklace with a beautiful stone in it. Draco carefully secured it around my neck, staring into my eyes before giving me a kiss. Think it's time to go downstairs, little one. Let's go, big boy. Draco led me downstairs to the ballroom. Well, he carried me down the stairs until we stood in front of the big doors, where I was allowed to enter on my own feet. I quickly found Victor and Neville standing to the left, both holding glasses of juice in their hand. We went over to them, and when we got closer, Neville seemed to beam. Tell me what makes you so happy, Neville. I asked the Omega, whose smile only grew. Victor promised that I wouldn't be able to walk for the next few days. He jumped down a bit, waving behind me. Alec ran over to us, no one accompanying him. You seem exhausted, I said to him, and he nodded. I had to help Eva. But I hope everything went well. By the way, have you really seen Natalia? We both shook our heads, but speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Natalia wasn't alone. She was with her whole cheer team, accompanied by one of the Quidditch teams, each one of them pairing up. Natalia was with the team captain, of course, but she kept giving Alec dirty looks. They all built a circle and waited until the music started, so they could show their perfect dance skill. They must have thought nobody would steal their show, all memorized by the great choreo, but they forgot about a certain Omega. It seemed Alec had lost all modesty, jumping into the middle and trolling around like crazy. I think Natalia wanted to kill him at that moment. Alec's actions animated others to dance too, and other pairs started to move, letting the ball begin. Draco asked me out for this dance too, and I tried my best not to step onto his feet. While we moved over to the dance floor, I was able to spot different people. First, I noticed an unusual pair. Shijia, the alpha that had asked me out in the hourly, he was trolling around a far smaller girl, and I had seen her face. I noticed it was Elizabeth, the young Omega that had taken liking in cuddling me. Later, I found that Shijia didn't ask her, but it was the other way around, and it happened only a few days after the alpha's attempt in the hourly. Elizabeth had a very effective puppy dog eyes, it seemed, and nobody was able to say no to such a creature. Next, I discovered that Eva and Alec had been planning all this time. Eva was dancing with another young lady in a blue dress, whispering into her ear, blushing the whole time. So Eva didn't fancy Alec, but Linda. Much to my luck, Draco decided to stop after our first dance, saying that we needed to save energy for later, if you know what I mean. We were about to get us another glass of juice when there was an announcement. Harry Black to the headmaster's office. Bring your date. I groaned and grabbed Draco's hand, who seemed worried. Victor gave me a look, but I made it clear to him that he was to stay here and have a nice evening with Neville. Walking fast, Draco and I made our way to the headmaster's office. Draco didn't even bother knocking. He just pushed the door open, as I thought. Neville muttered, making sure I was behind him. There in the office was more or less the whole Weasley family, together with the Golden Trio and the Potters. What did they want again? I was about to mate today, god damn it! I thought you were banned from entering Bulgaria ever again. I said, my voice heavy with anger. Kronov gestured for us to sit down on one of the couches, opposite to the unwanted guest. It is true. I already called some orders. They will be taken away soon. Henry and his friends made shocked faces. Did they think the law didn't apply to them or what? But this is not the reason we are here. Harry, baby boy. Lily started clapping her hands. You need to come home. We finally found a maid for you, and it's about time you made, Harry. She said, and I thought how Jacob had pulled me closer, growling at her. I won't go with you. You don't have any power over me. I told them, grabbing Draco's hand. Now Miss Weasley thought she had to open her mouth. But sweetie, there is a mating contract. There is no turning back. What contract? I signed nothing. I didn't agree to anything. But your parents did because you're an Omega. That's enough. I am an adult. Each contract made while I was a child is null and void now. So says the law. I leaned back, letting Jacob put his face into my neck. Now Percy spoke up. Mr. Malfoy, would you get your Death Eater claws away from my Omega? Huh? Would you? The overgrown child said, acting all tough. Shut up, Weasley. Harry is my mate, Draco growled, flashing his teeth. Percy wanted to start holding a monologue, but the contract when Kronov stopped him. Mr. Malfoy has been courting Mr. Black for some time now. The only way you will have any option on the maid Harry is by challenging him. He told him, making Pansy bark up. He was a beta. He knew he wouldn't stand a challenge against an alpha, an angry one at that. The room was silent, only waiting for someone to move. Draco kept flashing his teeth at the redheads. Pansy finally gathered enough ego in his mouth. I, Personal Weasley, am arrested for breaking into a school, causing public annoyance, signing off an illegal mating contract. The Urs finally arrived. Hallelujah! Take them, boys, Konoff said, watching in delight how the unwanted guests were brought away. Draco pulled me into lap, kissing me over, staking his claim. Mr. Malfoy, Mr. Black. I heard the headmaster's voice pulling me out of the trance Draco had put me in. We both looked at the older man. Please wait with your meeting until you're in your room. I don't want my alphas to smell like sex. And don't forget to use protections. No mishaps here. That was enough for Draco to pull me and run into our room. Oh boy. End of chapter 29.